The $1,000,000 question is always like, why do you think people start businesses? They need to ask themselves, like, why do I want to go into business? So it's like, so we're actually going through it too. It's stuff that we've struggled in our business with.
If you get to a certain point, you get to a certain level in your business, like, if you want it to keep growing, you're gonna have to get some help, whether you want to admit it or not. A lot of people, they admit it to themselves, but they don't want to admit it to other people because they don't want to seem weak.
And it's the famous realtor, the realtor, they love it. They love it. They fucking love it. It's always a great time to buy. It's always a great time to buy.
It's the American dream.
Well, yeah, it's always a great time to buy if you have the money. You know who's really making more money on this? Who's banking on this regardless of what fucking happens?
Ooh.
Yeah. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated.
So what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Totem Podcast. You guys thought we were coming back? We're here.
Just kidding.
We're just kidding. We're back. You ain't getting rid of us that easy. But yeah, Eric. So the $1,000,000 question. We're talking with a lot of business owners all the time. The $1,000,000 question is always like, why do you think people start businesses?
Yeah, I mean that's the. I don't think we ask that question enough to businesses because everybody, once they start out, they all have a different reason for starting out. But I'm just curious, like, for example, like our dad, he started it for one reason, which can be completely different from the next person. Like, starting a business for each and every person has a different value or different meaning to them. So it's like how they started or why they started is going to be different. And I think people who start a business need to ask themselves that question again, to go back to the roots of why they started and keep them from like just staying stagnant.
I think they should really start off as like, why do I want to start a business? Because I think social media, I don't know, you guys like these? Good, huh? Doing some new upgrades to the studio. But I think they need to ask themselves, like, why do I want to go into business? Because they see the entrepreneur, lifestyle, and they're like, fuck yeah, I want that. But it's like when you really start doing it, they're like, yeah, I want financial freedom. I want to be free and all this. Breaking news: you're not going to be free. You're actually going to become a slave to your business because the business must go on. The show must go on regardless of how you feel. You feel like shit. You feel tired. You want to go hang out with your kids. You want to go party with the boys. Cool. The business fucking gots to go.
Someone still got to show up. Like right now, you guys probably hear it. I am not feeling the greatest. I'm a little sick.
COVID.
But I still got a wedding to shoot. Like, you can't just call in sick. No, like, there's people counting on you to show up no matter what. And I think it's been like a big social media thing that we've always talked about. It's like, you see this thing on social media, like people with the nice cars, with the nice houses, big houses showing off and stuff. And they think, the people watching those videos, those pictures, think that is what an entrepreneur does or how an entrepreneur lives. And that's the lifestyle that they want. But they don't realize, like, first of all, those cars, that house is rented. It's an Airbnb. They fucking booked for the fucking weekend, maybe. But what it actually takes is fucking something completely different. It's like you work long days, you work fucking weekends, you work holidays, you fucking work all the time, and you're putting on all this fucking work. But nobody wants to show that because that's not.
Nobody wants to show their failures.
It's not going to show. It's not going to get you the likes.
Yeah, it's not going to get the clicks. And a lot of them are the Lambos. Some of them, they might be a really small percentage, the people that actually own them. But it was that great overnight success, overnight success in 10 years or whatever. The ones that are real. The ones that just come
overnight success in 10 years? How does that work?
It's fucking crazy. That's how shit works. That's how it is sometimes. But I think another big thing, once they do start getting their business, is then the other questions, like, they get to a place, they're growing, and then they get stagnant, and they're scared to grow. Little quick stat, Eric. So for all you business owners that are like, dude, my business is fine. I've been making the same I did last year or for the last 5 years, dude. Like, say a number. I've been at $100,000 like the last couple years. Cool, quick stat for you. So the stock market actually grows at 9% per year. So that means if you're not at least growing at 9% per year, you're staying behind. That's why I always tell you guys, a lot of people don't like it, but it's like if you're not growing, you're dying. You're slowly dying, that slow asphyxiation.
And so that the stock market is like a good indicator of how the economy is growing.
yeah, how the economy growing, how the S&P 500 companies are growing, stuff like that. So it's like,
Just to clarify for people, so like stock market is not just investing, though. It's also like a good way to like look at how the economy is doing and how it's growing.
yeah, the numbers don't lie. If you want to see what something's going, just take a look at the numbers. So a good benchmark to actually be if like, oh yeah, we're growing, it should be like a 20 to 30% for the year, you know. And it's because you're taking pretty much almost 9% out of that, so technically you're growing at a 10 to 20% per year. But so from that is like, why are people scared to grow? They're like when they started and they're like, I'm gonna grow this big business and I'm gonna do this. Do you think it's just because they get their ass kicked a little bit and then they're like, oh, maybe I should just tune it down a little bit?
Yeah, because when they start a business, they have all these hopes and dreams. Like, hell yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then they actually start getting into the nitty gritty, and it's like, oh shit, it's actually a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. And then they don't have that discipline, that determination to like push through that and keep on going. So they just hit a wall, and they're like, oh shit, like.
Full disclosure, all you guys that are listening to, you guys are probably, these guys are just talking shit. All the stuff that we actually talk about on our podcast, the videos that you see of us or whatever, we're actually going through the grind. We're going through the struggle. It's like we're not just making it up, you know. So
Yeah.
it's like, so we're actually going through it too. It's stuff that we've struggled in our business with, and that you start seeing it. The problem is that most business owners don't like to take that little zoom out and see, you know, work on the business instead of in the business. So that's the problem, I think, too.
Yeah. Like when we started too, we're like, oh hell yeah, we're gonna fucking do this, and we're gonna grow it, we're gonna be fucking millionaires right away. But it's like, nah, dude, in order for people to be able to take a shot at you, take a chance on you, I mean, you gotta be able to like show them that you're gonna be able to show up for them. And you gotta show up for yourself first. You gotta be there for yourself first to be able to show up for other businesses that need you.
Yeah, like the video I did the other day. You want to show up, your self-confidence. How do you get it? I think for me it works great. You work out, because once you're gasping for air and you're going, like, dude, like if you're just like gasping for air, you bitch out right away. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. Now we see how it is.
Shows your true character.
Yeah.
There.
No, it brings out the true colors. I've told you, Eric 3. You need to see, to actually, for all you guys, if you want to actually get to know a person for real. So it's like, you got to know people at 3 stages. You got to know them when they're really happy, because everything's like, yeah, dude, let's go get drunk. Let's happy. Yeah, everything's good.
Nothing can go wrong. when
Nothing can
everybody's
go
happy.
wrong. It's perfect. When they're mad, when they're really pissed off, because then they start bringing stuff back from 05 and stuff like that. Like, hey, remember back then when I did this? And the third one is how they treat other people. Because regardless if they're mad or happy, but you start seeing how they treat other people, you're just like, oh, well, why is he just treating me? I'm getting the royal treatment. He's treating these other people like this. I don't know, dude. I don't know. So you start seeing people's true colors, I think. So if you haven't seen people in those 3 stages, I don't think you really know, you know. And recently, not like you've seen them in those 3 stages like 3 years ago. Like, no. Like
Back in high school.
Back in high school, yeah.
Because we're all completely different people in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, we should be. If you're actually growing as a person, keep bettering yourself, keep bettering what you want in life. You should be different.
Better be different. You're different. You're different in a different way, I guess you could say.
Guys, make sure if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Tell all your friends about this podcast, and just share it around. We really appreciate it.
So Eric, so there's stuff we like, business stuff. So we're gonna give you guys a couple business topics and stuff like that. The biggest one that's been going on the last couple of days, Eric. So it's the union strike in the healthcare workers. So it's Kaiser Permanente actually had 75,000 workers walk out on day 1. Why? Because they wanted more money. They wanted 20. So what they're requesting, nicely, I guess, I don't know if that's fucking nicely when you just walked out, was 20 to 40% increase in their wage.
Damn.
So if, like, say they're making 100 grand, now they want to make 120 to 140. Like, oh, cool. So that's what they're requesting.
It's pretty big jump.
Yeah, and so this is actually the biggest strike in the history ever, you know.
In history of, like, the U.S. or just, like, Kaiser?
No, the U.S. of strikes, you know. And you know, you've seen it. It's. I don't know if they jumped on the bandwagon. They see an opportunity. They're like, shit, let's take it. They had like the UPS and a couple other union stuff. The unions like,
Yeah, we talked about UPS a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So it's like they're just jumping on the train, or like, what is it? You know, supposedly they're like, just help us out and we'll be good, you know. So, and I guess on this, so this it was an actual article that was out there. But actually, so they had 12. So Kaiser came back and they're like, dude, we'll give you 12.5, you know, 12.5% increase. And they said, fuck no. So it's like, oh, so they're just like, we're getting this or we're getting this, you know. So it's like, and then so what happened? The problem with a lot of stuff like this, where I'm going with it, is that like, say you go into your doctor now, your nurses and stuff, like now it was already slow during COVID. It was already like they needed people to work in there. And now there's a strike. So it's like, so they who's going to take care of you now?
They say there's always a shortage of healthcare workers. But now if like 75,000 of them were going on strike, then it's kind of like it's even shorter. It's like, what do people do now?
Yeah. But then the other thing to kind of see about is like, why are they going on strike? Because they need more money, right? So if
they got offered 12.5%. They didn't want it.
No, it's because they need a little bit more money, Eric. Let me give you another little quick stat. There's been something the last couple of years. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's called inflation. Like it went pretty crazy after like with COVID and stuff.
I think I've heard of it.
This beautiful thing, you know, where it makes everything really cheap and affordable. You know, everyone, it's really good. Just fucking kidding. It's not. It's actually the opposite of that. But it's so the mortgage rates for homes, people always need somewhere to live, like we were just saying. So in the last 18 months, the percentage, it got down to like 2.3, 2.9 in there. It was in the 2s, which is crazy number.
Never been seen before.
Never seen before. So it's like, we're just going to say it was at 3. Fuck it. Now it's actually around 8%. So like, it got some numbers for you, Eric. So just to see how much, so you guys compare, so you guys can see the big difference of how the mortgage pricing is, how much you have to go. Because when you go buy a house, when you go buy a car, they say, what's the monthly? How much could you afford, you know? So in 18 months ago, a $500,000 house at 3%, your payment was roughly $2,108, right? And then now a $500,000 house with 8% is actually $3,669. $3,669. That's over $1,500 more a fucking month.
For the same house.
For the same house.
Just 18 months
Same
later.
neighborhood, same crime. It's the same neighborhood, same everything in there. So if you look at the numbers, dude, that's like over a 70% increase in that. So the thing,
that's all due to inflation.
A couple other levers that were moved around there, but yeah. And then you look at it though. How much do you have to make to be able to afford? 18 months ago, how much did you have to make to afford a house? That much. So if you do it, you know, you times it by 0.36, because that's what the banks use, you know, to actually see how much, if you can afford it or not afford it, because the banks don't go broke, you know, so they want to know you're actually making the dough to be able to make the bread. So it's $5,855 a month. That's how much you had to make a month in income to be able to have a house.
It's about $70K a year.
Yeah, roughly in there. Pull out your calculators, fellas, do it. But so now, if you do it, that was 18 months ago. Now, if you do it, so it's actually the 0.36 times the 3669, because that's how much it is now, roughly a month. So you have to be making roughly $10,190
Damn.
a month. In a year, that's a 122 about. So that's over 50 grand. They have to be making more a year. So it's like once you think
to afford the same damn
the same damn freaking house. So if you think about it, when these people are asking for 20 to 40%, if they're making 100 grand, it went from 120 to making 20,000 to 40,000 more. This is why, because this is like 50,000 more, you know, to be able to afford it. The problem is like, why you getting in a house that expensive if you can't afford it?
Yeah.
And it's the famous realtor, the real, they love it. They love it. They fucking love it. It's always a great time to buy. it's always a great time to buy.
It's the American dream.
It's the American dream. It's always a great time to buy if you have the money. If it's the only let's say you only got $1,000, they're like, oh yeah, right now you got to do it. Like, dude, if you don't got dough, if you don't got money in the bank, like, it might not be a great time to buy. And that's why I think a lot of these, like you were saying earlier, the apartment complexes, that's why they're just going up like crazy.
There's always an apartment complex being built, no matter like where it's at.
Yeah, and there's always going to be like a house shortage also. They're like, oh, we need to build more houses because we're so behind. That shit's never going to end. It's always going to be a keepy thing. So it's like, how do I say it? If you're a realtor out there, stop saying like, oh, there's not enough houses to buy. That thing's never going to go. Like, sell the people on something different. I don't think that's...
Don't try and just get people in a bad situation. Like, if you know shit's not that good right now, I know you still got to make money or whatever, but don't try and force people into a situation that's not going to benefit them. Because then you're just going to fuck them over. Yeah, you'll get them in the house, you'll get your sale, but then are they going to be a returning client? Are they going to be referring people back to you? It's like, I don't know. If you do right by people, it might like keep you from making a little bit more money now, but then in the long run, you do right by people, it's going to help you in the long run.
Yeah. No, so going back to this, the healthcare stuff going, so like I think there's a perfect question for you to answer, Eric, since you're now wife.
Now wife.
Now he's married. So she works in the healthcare. How do you feel about this? Or how do you think, I guess we can't ask her because she's not here, but how do you feel about this? People wanting to make more.
Well, people are always going to want to make more, like no matter what industry they're in or whatever. But because she's a nurse, and like nurses are like one of the most like underappreciated and undervalued and underpaid workers that there are. It's just how it is, and there's even like there's always been a nurse shortage because they don't want to pay more. And instead of the hospital saying like, hey, I'm going to pay you more so you can like stay here or whatever, and keep nurses from leaving, because nurses will get a job and then they see that they're not getting valued there. So they want to leave a job to go to another hospital that's offering like these new sign-on bonuses and all that stuff. But instead of hospitals like at that current hospital saying like, hey, in order for you not to leave, we're going to pay you a little bit more, they're like, fuck it, leave. We don't care. And that creates like a nurse shortage. So nurses are just bouncing from hospital to hospital. And in order for like the hospitals to like fill those empty needs or whatever, they'll just bring in travel nurses.
Isn't it like that with every industry though?
Is it?
I mean, you're talking about like you said the most underappreciated like people in like every job. Like I could argue waiters are, because waiters are pretty, I guess they get tipped, but it's like, as I was a busser back in my old day, I was a busser. It fucking sucks, and you're really underappreciated.
Well,
and it's like the same thing. The restaurant should pay you more. Will they pay you more?
It's because it's a service industry. So it's different. You have to, and the restaurant will give you like a base salary, right? They'll give you something, not fucking
$4.25 back in the day.
$4.25 back in the day, and then it's up to like your good service, you like bringing value to the customers, to be able to make the tips or whatever.
But then shouldn't it be more that way? Because then say you go to like, I'm not saying all the nurses, you go somewhere and your service isn't that great. Well, fuck it. They get paid hourly, so regardless, they're making their bag. No?
Yeah. But it's a different like industry. So I don't think you can like just fairly compare them side by side.
Okay.
Because it is like hourly, but then the prerequisites to be a waiter or a busser is nowhere near to the prerequisites to be a nurse. You have to go to like 4-year school to be able to get your bachelor's degree, and then you have to go to like a nursing program that can actually give you the training, and then it's a lot more shit you have to like. It's a lot more work you have to put into it to be a nurse than to be just like a waiter.
This waiter's gonna be fucking pissed at you, Eric.
Well, I mean, that's what we talk about all the time. If you want to fucking better your situation, go out there and better your fucking situation. You can't just sit there and expect shit to fucking get better with you fucking still keeping the same skills.
Yeah,
But
minimum skills. You got minimum wage.
Yeah, exactly. And then so going back to it, in order for like the hospitals to like fill those empty chairs, those empty like nursing spots that they need, they'll just hire travel nurses. So the hospital solution to you have the nurse wants more money, the hospital doesn't give them more money, so the nurse leaves. But then the hospital will go and hire a travel nurse and pay them a lot more fucking money to fill in that fucking spot that could have been resolved in the first place. Like the hospital's still gonna pay more money, they just don't want to pay more money to like the local person, which is it's stupid. So they'll like spend more money. They'll spend even more money to bring in people from like out of the city or out of the state to fill in that void.
Do you think is it maybe because the people, like we're talking about, giving the value to the business, that maybe they're not that great nurses, the ones that are there? Or is it that they're not great nurses and the ones coming in are actually better? Or is it just like how it looks? They're like, oh, this guy's not good. This one's coming from somewhere else, so they must be good. When in reality, they're not.
That's a good question. Because I bet some of them that they're like, yeah, that's a shitty nurse, whatever. But then those travel nurses, they're only coming for like on a 3-month contract and then they leave. They're only coming temporarily anyways to kind of patch it up while the hospital gets another person for like another short term. It's like the whole nursing game in the hospitals is a weird fucking game because it's like a constant cycle.
Yeah, I don't think it's probably never ending on that aspect. But what do you think? What do you think a solution for that is? For like this, like specifically on the Kaiser stuff?
The inflation needs to go down. So something needs to like happen with the economy because, I mean, I don't know fucking Kaiser's numbers, whatever. I'm sure they could afford to pay them a little bit more, but then that's gonna cut into their profits and it's gonna like hurt their like their profits and like the dividends or whatever. But then it's also like the people who are trying to like get more money is like also like looking at their situation. There's plenty of people out there that are making it work for now, making a lot less fucking money.
We know who's really making more money on this?
Who?
Who do you think who's really making more? Who's banking on this regardless what fucking happens?
Who?
The guys running the unions. They're gonna make like they don't want to get to terms. They're just gonna get to like an agreement for a couple years, and then they're just gonna stir up the pot in a couple years again. Why? Because they're like, hey, you're a union guy. Come on, come sign up to the union. Let's do this. I'll fight for you. And then cool, you signed up, and then you're just like, cool, yeah, we'll fight for you. There's like, pay me my monthly, whatever you have to pay to be part of the union. And then they go over there and stir up the pot with these guys, and they come back. Yeah, they don't want to, dude. So it's like they're the ones making money if it happens or not.
Yeah, because honestly, looking at it, do you want a 20 to 40% raise? If you look at it from the business perspective or just anybody's like pretty fucking ridiculous.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's like shit. You want that much fucking? They offered you fucking what 12.5%. It's like they're fucking from the business perspective. It's like we're trying to fucking work with you, and you don't want to like work with us. It's like,
yeah, it's like if you put in perspective, like with 10 people, just say 10 people doing that. Like we're saying if they're making $100,000, they're not making $100,000, but just to keep it at zero is easy for everybody. It'd be with 10 people, if they're making $100,000, now they want to make 120 or 140. We're talking about $200,000 to $400,000 more that they got to pay out now. Like, dude, you start messing with the big corporations' pockets, and they don't like it.
yeah. And I mean, from Kaiser's perspective, they're probably just like, cool, don't come to work, and they'll come and hire some newer people and pay them what they were paying them, and then they'll just get rid of those people.
Yeah, no, it's good. If you're a nurse out there, whatever, if you work in this industry, let us know down below what your guys' thoughts are on it. Because, I mean, you can tell I'm not a nurse. I can't speak too much on it, but I am in business. I know numbers, so that's kind of why we're kind of hitting it. But if you're a nurse, let us know.
But guys, like always, remember, smash that subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel that we can be notified every single time we got a new video up. And just share it around with your friends. We really appreciate it.
So, Eric, another big question, once we're in business and stuff, like, why do you think, your opinion, why do you think most businesses fail? Because if you actually look at the success rate for businesses, like, the odds are against you to fail,
Yeah.
If you see us, like, some businesses, they'll be like, 1 to 3 years? Yeah, cool.
Most of them fail 1 to 3 years. Most of the small business startups fail within 3 years.
Yeah, if you see a business, like, after you've been in business for after, like, 5 years, they're like, oh, they're pretty legit. But why do you think, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's what we talked about earlier. It's like businesses or new business owners, when they start out, they have all these hopes and dreams and stuff that they want to do this. They want to make 100K in their first year. They want to help all these people, but then they face the fact that it's a lot harder to run a business than what they think it is, and it's going to take a lot more effort out of them, more determination, more grit to just get through the hard times, because it's not going to be all sunshines and rainbows when you first start out in business. It's going to be a lot harder, and I think people just they're naive about it, and they go into it just thinking they're gonna make a whole bunch of money like right off the bat, but they don't have like that determination, that discipline to keep pushing through it and just stay on course, to just keep on pushing, and then eventually they'll make it. So
Yeah.
I think it's just like at the beginning, I think that's why most businesses fail.
Yeah, I think it's kind of because when you establish your business, say you're in the food, say you have, we're just going to keep it a little bit more simple. You sell food, you sell tacos, or whatever. You can make some great fucking tacos, but it's like, do you know how to sell the tacos? There's a difference. You're like, dude, yeah, if they're great, everyone's going to want them. Well, no, not necessarily. Because how are they going to buy them from you if they don't know you? And that's what the problem, I think, where a lot of people get lost at. They don't know you're selling the food. Like, how are they supposed to buy it from you? So it's like, that's where it comes in. They need to start building like a team and be like, hey, you know what? I don't know that much about this shit. Let me get somebody to help me. Let me get somebody to do this for me, or, build a team around them. But once they get a little bit of success, they're just like, that ego comes in like, dude, I ain't gonna fucking let this guy come tell me, like, what's he gonna know about this, dude? Like, this is my business. Like, nobody can ever like tell you anything in your business because it's your business. And that's where it goes in. It starts turning into the business. You start hiring people. It's like the leadership. Are you a boss? Or are you a leader? Do they listen to you because you're the one signing the checks? Or do they listen to you because you're actually leading by example and doing what you should do? And I think like you said earlier, like, yeah, people leave one job because their management sucks or whatever. So like, no, fuck this. Your management starts leaving. You can't hire good people, so your business starts declining because no one wants to work with you. And we don't want to accept it sometimes, but that's kind of how it is, I think. I think, but then we kind of do know, because we start working with a lot of businesses, you start seeing those conversations behind closed doors that no one wants to talk about, and they're like, yeah, a lot of people deal with these things. It's not just like a one-time thing, like, oh, it was only one guy no, it's most of them. The leadership, once you start scaling, just because you make good tacos doesn't mean you can manage people. Once you start hiring, you got to educate yourself. You got to continuous learning. Once you think you know everything, you're lost.
Or what's the end goal with the tacos? Do you want to keep working? Do you want to keep making the tacos forever, or do you want to show a couple other people how to make the tacos, so then you can just run the business instead of like working in the business?
But then I think it goes too with that limited mindset. A lot of them are just like, they don't see it that far. Like, a lot of here we go with this. A lot of business owners just see, if you're a business owner and you're just like hoping, like, let's see how much I can make today. Let's see how much I can just make today. They're just worried about today. Like, cool. A great business owner is thinking of tomorrow, not necessarily just today. You got to be thinking of, cool, where's it going to be next month? Not necessarily today. You might have a bad day or a bad week, maybe even bad month. It's like, you got to be thinking more ahead. If you're just thinking of like today, like, bro, someone's gonna come. They're gonna take that fucking rug underneath you, and you're not gonna like it. It's not gonna feel good.
Yeah,
I think.
No, and I think a lot of them too, like they start to grow, whatever, and they realize they need help, but they don't want to ask for help because it's like that ego thing you were talking about. It's like they don't want to. They want to feel like they can just do it all themselves. And if you get to a certain point, you get to a certain level in your business, like if you want it to keep growing, you're going to have to get some help, whether you want to admit it or not. A lot of people, they admit it to themselves, but they don't want to admit it to other people because they don't want to seem weak in a way. Yeah. And it's just like, if you need help, reach out. Don't be afraid to ask for help. If you need help in your marketing, we're here for you.
We're here for you. It's not an ad, but Inception Media can take care of all your marketing for you, video production, everything for you. Just let us know. But with that, guys, we appreciate you guys for tuning in today, checking it out. Let us know down in the comments if you guys like some of these topics, which topics you want more of, and where to go from there, you know. And if you want to be a guest, you know somebody that should be a guest, let us know, send us a message, drop it down below, whatever, you know. And just remember, fellas and fella us. I like it. Fellas and fella us, that an act of rebellion is to question. Appreciate it.
Peace out, guys.
Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated.